fellow 40k players who are also not at Adepticon, and are probably also still wondering how to get official news about what's happening at Adepticon. SaltyJohn here with another TFG Radio video battle report. Today I take my Death Guard Victorium out for a stroll through a ruined city when Magnus and some Thousand Suns show up looking for some Council of Nicaea payback. We're playing at 1,250 points. My list is a Death Guard Victorium, Warband, a Lord with Fist, Sigil, Bike, and Blight Grenades, a Sorcerer who's level 1 with a Sigil, Bike, and Stave, 2 times 5 Chaos Space Marines with Plasma Guns, 5 Terminators with the Heavy Flamer and 4 Chain Fists, 3 CSM Bikers with 2 Melta Guns, 2 Havoc Squads with 4 Autocannons, and as my auxiliary choice, 4 Spawn with Mark of Nurgle. My opponent today is Paul, and his 1,000 Suns list is 1,000 Suns CAD, 1,250 points, obviously, Magnus, Sorcerer on Disc level 2, 3 times Sorcerers who are level 1, and 2 times 10 Cultists. We're playing one of the first past the post missions I've been working on to liven up the game and level out the advantages of slow play. Today's mission uses an ITC modified Maelstrom chart, but you score at the end of each player's turn, and you can score points for an objective even if it isn't your turn. We have Vanguard deployment for this one, and it is going to be a down and dirty fight. The first to 20 points wins. Random game length is in effect. If neither player reaches 20 by the time the game ends, there are 2 sets of tiebreakers. First, the player who scored the most of the following tertiary objectives wins: Slay the Warlord, First Blood, and Ground Control. The second tiebreaker is kill points. If, after the tiebreakers, the game is still tied, it is a draw. Enjoy.
So here we are, we have a 1,250 point mission, and we're using one of the new first past the post missions that I worked up, and the one we're using uses the Maelstroms, and so this is the ITC mission. These are the Maelstroms that we use for it.
That's easy to read.
Yeah. I'll put it on the screen too, don't worry about it. So those are the Maelstrom missions that we're going to use, and right now we're going to roll to seize. Right now Paul is going first with his Magnus list, and I'm slated to go second with my Death Guard. So here we are at the end of John's turn 1. Paul's going to go ahead and start doing his movement. I rolled for my Maelstroms 1 and 4. Paul rolled for his just now 4 and 6. At the end of my turn, I was able to hold objective 1, so I got one. I put 2 wounds on Magnus with autocannons, and that's it. Nothing else happened. All right, this is the end of Paul's turn 1, and he flew Magnus out and had a really terrible psychic phase. You basically only got Cursed Earthoth, and he summoned a unit of Pink Horrors. At the end of his turn, we scored again. I scored additionally for my 1. He scored his 6. I rolled objective 4 and 6 for my turn. We're going to see just how that goes as I move up and try to get to Magnus.
Seizing the initiative was, or so I thought at least, key in this game because it would give me the chance to put some wounds on Magnus early. Having only played with Magnus once or twice, and against Magnus never, I made the same mistake most people do when faced with a non-Rahadi Warstacked Magnus. That mistake is focusing on Magnus himself. I realized my mistake about midway through turn 1 and corrected. Just take out everything but Magnus. Focused on the mission, and hopefully pull a win.
This is the end of John's turn 2, and the Terminators came in and got stuck under the building under there. Everything kind of moved up. Shot a bunch of Pink Horrors dead, but other than that, not much happened. So at the end of my player turn, I score 6 for having 3 of my units and none of his in my zone. Paul doesn't score any additionals for his, so I'm at 3, Paul's at 1. He's rolled 2 and 5 for his next set of objectives. Here we are at the end of Paul's turn 2, and he moved a bunch of stuff around. He jumped out a sorcerer, cast a ton of psychic powers, almost killed off the unit of Chaos Space Marines. He failed to summon a D-Thirster, unfortunately for him, but he did a bunch of other good stuff. So we're going to move on to my turn 3. At the end of his turn 2, he scored 2, his objective 2, so he gets a point for that. And then at the end of that turn, I still had my 6, so I score for that, putting us at 4 and 2. And I rolled 2 and 3 for my next 2 objectives, so I need to hold objective 2 and have a unit in his deployment zone, which I should be able to do.
Paul's psychic phases were epically dismal in this whole game. While Cursed Earth and Siphon were key to him on several turns, his inability to summon the D-Thirster early on cost him dearly. Without summoning the D-Thirster early, it allowed me to really move up and play more aggressively than I probably would have.
Alright, here we are at the end of John's turn 3, and a bunch of stuff happened and moved up over there. I was not in charge range for what I wanted. Over here I flamed a bunch of stuff and shot, also failed to charge. Paul made a bunch of blue horrors over there. He remembered this game to make his blue horrors, which is good. But at the end of the turn I was in control of a 2. And I did and I did have a unit in his deployment zone, so that gave me 2 more, so I'm sitting at 6. Paul did not hold 2 at the end of his, nor did he kill a unit during mine, so he's still sitting at 2. He got a 4 and a 3 for his next turn's objectives.
Mother, tell your children not to walk my way. Tell your children not to hear my word.
Okay, here we are at the end of Paul's turn 3, and he had a very crazy turn in which he failed on 7 psychic die rolls in a row, basically. So those are his dice. They're going to be punished thoroughly later. We had actually forgotten on his turn he needed to roll morale for that unit that was up on top of the building. So we did that, and then they ran off the board on Paul's turn. So it's going to give me an additional point. So the way we're at the end of turn, Paul's turn 3, is he scored 2 points because he did get both his 4, which is kill unit, because he killed off 1 more by last CSM. He got a 3 because he's got his guy in my zone, way over on the other side, behind those black walls next to Magnus. There's a sorcerer. And then I also scored 2 points on his turn because I held 2 still, and because his unit ran off the board, or because I still have guys in my zone, sorry. Because I still have guys in my zone, I scored that one too. Or his zone, I should say. My turn 4 is up, and I rolled 1 and 3, so I need to hold an objective 1, and I need to keep a guy in his zone.
The game thus far is going well for me. Paul's failures in the psychic phase have given me a lot of breathing room. At this point, I am going to focus on what the Death Guard Victorium does best: survive, plod forward, and dish out some close combat pain. The mission itself is fun, although it is already showing that some work needs to be done on it. Sticking to the objectives is key in all the first past the post style missions that I've written. Sticking to the objectives is also key in all first past the post missions that I've written for basically any game system, including things like War Machine. While the coming of 8th may be closer than anticipated, and make this all a moot point, I think practicing different missions, some of which are modeled after Age of Sigmar, isn't a bad idea.
So here's the end of John's turn 4, and we moved a lot of stuff up, and my bikes failed to charge epically in the back corner there and did not get into combat, but I was able to keep myself in scoring position. I also could not get rid of the blue horrors, so they made some brimstones in combat. I scored 2 additional points, so now I'm sitting at 10. Paul also scored an additional point on his turn for the number 3, so he's sitting at 6 points to my 10. So we're coming to the conclusion that we probably have too many points to win this mission. 20 is probably too many, so that'll have to be reworked. Paul rolled 6 and 5 for his objectives, so he needs to have 3 of his and none of mine in his zone, and then he needs to kill a unit.
That was like a 3-inch charge. You're on goddamn motorcycles. You can't make a 3-inch charge. You gotta be kidding me. So much goddamn salt. I'm gonna go Alex Jones on this video right now.
This is the end of Paul's turn 4, and he yet again failed to summon a Thirster with 5 dice, and we had he wiped out my squad over on top of the hill there, the Havocs, and he's got that one over there. He only scored for his turn 1 point. So that's not so great for him. I scored none, so we're sitting at 10-7. And he did kill off my Warlord with his D-Thirster. So we'll move on to my turn 5. My turn 5, I rolled up 2 and 3. So I need to hold a 2 and have a unit in his zone.
Losing your Warlord to Magnus's D-Beam is never a good time. Luckily for me, I know I'm going to have a good couple of turns to rack up points. Even if reaching 20 points is out of reach, I feel like the tiebreakers will be good to me.
All right, here we are at the end of John's turn 5. We're going into Paul's turn 5. And there's a bunch of stuff that went on. I was able to charge the cultists, which broke and ran after taking a bunch of wounds, and they're right at the edge of the table over there. The spawn failed to charge the sorcerer in the wide open because of Magnus' special rule, his warlord trait. The CSNs back there did kill a sorcerer, which was good, and then went back towards objective 2. And Paul is sitting over there on a number 1 with the sorcerer. So I currently sit at 12 points, and Paul sits at 7. And he rolled a 1 and a 2 for his next turn, so he's got to hold 1 and hold 2.
You take a mortal man and put him in control.
So here we are at the end of Paul's turn 5, and the game will continue. He did finally summon a D-Thirster, thankfully for him. He was able to move a bunch of stuff up. He was able to score 2 on this turn, which puts him at 9. I was also able to score 2, which puts me at 14. We were discussing that we should change the point level, probably somewhere between 12, 14, 16, but we're not doing that. So currently the way the mission is written is at 20. So it doesn't look like either of us is going to get to 20, so we'll have to go to tiebreakers eventually. But that's the way it is. I'm going to roll my 3, and then we'll see if the game ends on 6.
Well, Paul finally got his D-Thirster in, but turn 5 is going to be just a bit too late. At this point, the goal for me is to simply hold his D-Thirster back for my turn, and his, by keeping it stuck in combat with Spawn. Nurgle Spawn are a great solo target, but I'm going to need a little bit of luck to keep them stuck in there against a D-Thirster with a big old D-Axe.
So here's the end of John's turn 6, and we had some pretty cool stuff happen. So the Thirster took a wound from autocannons, then the Spawn rolled in and did 2 wounds in close combat, and then he did 7 wounds back, killing off 3 whole Spawn. I failed to manifest the only psychic power I tried on 6 dice, so this table is not good for psychic powers. So the way we ended was I had a 1 and a 5, so I did get a 5 because I killed 2 brimstones to wipe a unit, and I hold 1, so I'm up to 16 points, and Paul scored for having 1, so he's got it 10 now, and he rolled 3 and 5 for his turn 6 objectives, meaning he's got to have a unit in my zone and kill a unit, which I'm sure he can do this turn. So here we are at the end of Paul's turn 6, and we've called the game. At the end of that turn, we had still 16-10, so neither of us 20 went to tiebreakers. The first tiebreaker is ground control, warlord, and first blood. And we tied on that also because I had ground control, he had Warlord, neither of us had First Blood. So then we went to the second tiebreaker, which is kill points, and I won on kill points. So the game ends with me winning on the second tiebreaker. So the mission definitely needs to be reworked a little bit, but otherwise it was a good game. Magnus and D-Thirsters all over the place, so it was fun.
That was a really fun game. We played the 1,250 points in less than 2 hours, even with having to do filming and taking pictures. I still feel Magnus isn't good outside of a Rahadi Warsect or a Dan Platt style list. At low point level games, it may seem like Magnus is a great choice because he is so tough, but I think at anything less than 1,500, he's just too many points. Overall, I like the way that the Death Guard Victorium has been playing. It's solid, it's resilient. Overall T5 or +1 toughness for the whole army is really amazing. The Death Guard Victorium has served me well almost every game I've played it with the exception of one. And that was against Tau, and you know what? Fuck Tau. I do like the way the mission played. Although the point threshold for victory was probably too high, 14 or 15 points would be a good post to pass. It is looking like that will all be a moot point though this summer. GW likes to do its big releases around summer, and after what they announced the first day at Adepticon, I can't imagine they'll pass up the summer of 40K's 30th anniversary for the release date of 8th edition, or New Hammer, or whatever they're going to end up calling it. I'm ready for a change. As a head judge at LVO, I'm quite ready for simpler rules and better missions. Until next time, keep your salinity levels high and paint some of those damn models already. Nobody wants to play against your 15 gray Sisters of Silence in equally gray rhinos. Keep it salty, and don't forget to subscribe to TFG Radio.